In this episode, Golden and I have a spoilerific discussion of Captain Marvel. Full speed ahead. Welcome to the Omega Beam, episode 35. I'm your host, Orren Merton, and Golden and I went to see Captain Marvel on Friday night, opening weekend, and we sat down and had a discussion about it afterwards. I want to warn you right up front, this is a very spoiler-heavy discussion. Come to think of it, I think we even dropped in a spoiler for Wonder Woman in there, so there are lots of spoilers. So I highly recommend that you see the movie first, and spoiler of our discussion, it's definitely worth seeing the movie. So see the movie, and then once you've seen it, join us in our discussion. It's interesting because the very concept of spoilers came up in our discussion, because I'm one of those people who I like to go into a movie pretty fresh. I don't read the reviews. I'll see the trailers, but I won't read the reviews, and I really like to sort of experience it for the first time when I'm sitting there in the theater. Golden is the opposite. She does not mind spoilers at all, and in fact, she got a major spoiler, and it did not affect her enjoyment at all. So your mileage may vary, and if you don't mind spoilers, then please enjoy the discussion even before you see the movie. But be forewarned, there are many spoilers. All right, here we go. I am here with Golden, and we have seen Captain Marvel. We saw an opening night show with a friend of ours who is a accomplished composer, David Rakin, but he, unfortunately, could not be here. So it's up to us.
Technically, did it open on Thursday or Friday?
You're right. It opened on Thursday. Actually, there were the Captain Marvel experience that was even earlier.
For which we missed getting Captain Marvel coins, apparently.
And we did. We missed getting the coins. But we saw it, and then Thursday night was opening night. We saw it Friday night. So we are going to give a spoiler-filled, lots and lots of spoilers in our conversation. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go see it and then come back and listen to our little discussion.
Please take note. There will be spoilers.
So, what did you think?
It was great. I know you won't read reviews ahead of time.
I won't.
So I do go and look at reviews. Mm-hmm. And the first review that I saw said, wow, this movie is so disjointed. And another review I read said that the de-aging for Nick Fury was awesome, but for Coulson it was horrible. So I was like, oh, okay. I really hope it's better than these reviews. And you say, oh, it's like 80-some% Rotten Tomatoes. It'll be good. So I'm like, okay. Well, at the very least, we saw it in the Dolby Cinema Theater, so we had the reclining chairs. We were comfortable.
Right.
The picture was excellent. And I have to say, I disagree with it feeling disjointed.
I completely think it was jointed. It was very well jointed.
I think that there were a couple times where I had a little bit of an issue. Like, it was just way too obvious, and he looked a little plasticine with Clark Gregg's character Coulson. But otherwise, the de-aging, especially of Samuel L. Jackson, was incredible.
Agreed. I think that this movie was pretty jointed. You know, one of the things about these Marvel movies is there is a formula, and the ones that are the best, in my opinion, you've got your Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's not a Marvel movie, but still, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got Black Panther. There are some movies. I would put Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in there. There are some movies that they sort of either eschew the formula completely or they just turn it on its head. This did not, but this was just a really good, entertaining thing about that. You know, one of the things that I personally noticed is that of the Marvel sort of movie templates, Iron Man is one of the templates, like Doctor Strange followed that pretty well. This was sort of the Thor template, that there's sort of a unformed space hero who ends up falling to Earth and on Earth finds himself a human sidekick, learns what he is inside, or she is in this case, learns how to be a hero, goes back into space, the conquering hero.
Oh, I would agree with you for some of that, but I don't think she was looking for a sidekick.
No.
If anything, she didn't want the human sidekick. She's just like, let me do what I need to do.
Right.
And you just go sit over there.
I agree with you, and one of the things I was going to say is it superficially follows that template, but it also then deviates from it in unique ways for this movie. There is no love interest. Love is nowhere near this movie. It's a great buddy pick. She has a wonderful dynamic with Samuel L. Jackson.
And one of the reviews that I read, actually, it wasn't there that they said, this is really where a movie has failed to hit a female buddy before. And the fact that she has this best friend, and it really shows this close female best friend relationship that other movies don't.
Yes.
And, speaking of reviews, just a reminder, there will be spoilers. There will be a spoiler in just one moment. Is the fact that I asked you right before we watched the movie, I said, so the Kree are the good guys and the Skrulls are the bad guys, and you said yes. Because I had read a review that talked about the fact that she finds out that it's not what it seems and that the good guys really aren't as good and the bad guys really aren't bad.
May I just interrupt for a brief second in case there's any reviewers out there. This is why I don't read your reviews before I see these movies. That's exactly the kind of detail I do not want spoiled.
Oh, but it didn't spoil the enjoyment of the movie for me to know that.
Sure.
Because I still got to see this. I mean, actually knowing what I knew and seeing Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, and this is the Talos in Captain Marvel, not the planet from Discovery, Talos 4.
Talos 4, yes.
But from, Star Trek universe. Different universe here. And I'm not sure which Spider-Verse. So, but watching him and knowing that he's not really the bad guy, I was enjoying that. Mm-hmm. And that's why, for me, if I find something like that out, it's not going to ruin the movie for me because I get to enjoy it in a different way.
Right.
And it was kind of neat to know that and get your perspective.
Yeah. So I think you're right. And
he did an incredible job.
Absolutely.
And I thought, in my head, wow, it is nice to see him finally playing a good guy. Because a lot of times we see him as being such an ass or a jerk.
Playing the villain or the jerk.
Ready Player One, Rogue One, just...
all the ones. If the movie has a one in it, he's playing a villain, basically. I agree with all of that, and I would also add another way that... And you already mentioned this, but back to breaking the template. There's no love interest so that's a deviation from the template. The good guys are the bad guys are the good guys. So it turns out the hero is going down to do the hero's work, and the hero's work is actually more or less being a hit person for the villains.
Then this is just striking me right now, because I know you mentioned Wonder Woman before, because here's another movie that's basically the female character.
Right.
Okay. So if you think about it, Wonder Woman keeps thinking that there's this sword.
Right.
That is the god killer.
Right.
When in fact it's her.
Right.
I hope you've seen Wonder Woman. If not, I'm sorry. I didn't preface that with there will be a spoiler for Wonder Woman as well.
There will be a Wonder Woman spoiler.
So she is the weapon, and you have them looking. You think that they're looking for this engine or this weapon, and in fact, it's there in. Well, she's not actually referred to as Captain Marvel in the movie, and I know that was a.
I'll get to that later, yeah.
But Vers, Carol Dan Vers, Veers, so she's referred to as Veers in the movie because that's all that's left of her dog tag. But Veers is the actual weapon.
Right.
Kind of like Wonder Woman is that weapon.
Right. One of the things I have in my notes here, and I'll just bring it up now, and I like this, and you really hit on it. It is the same in Wonder Woman as it is in Captain Marvel. Some of the right-wing snowflakes have gotten incredibly upset that this is this is a feminist movie and whatever. This is completely not preachy. There's nothing preachy about this movie. It is a very, very much about female empowerment. And I think one of the subtle ways, they do that in subtle ways. In this movie, a big theme is Carol Danvers getting up. I mean, literally, you see her as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, knock down, fall down, and then rising up. And that's one of the themes of female empowerment, is just you can get up, you can do it. And both in Wonder Woman and in this one...
And her father telling her that she can't drive.
Right. And her...
In the go-kart.
Yeah, and her doing it anyway. And one of the things that in both movies they do is, just sort of the power is you. That in both movies, they truly are the power. They are the power. But I think it's good, and I think it works, and I think it's a way to get your message across in a literally, quote unquote, fantastic way in these fantasy movies, is they can make the metaphoric, real in these ways. And I love that. I thought it was done incredibly well.
And like other Marvel movies, they put things in the preview that don't actually happen in the movie.
Right.
Because I don't ever remember her saying that she's going to end the war.
Right.
She's not going to fight it. She's going to end it.
Right. All of these movies, and not just these movies. I mean, the same thing happened with the Hobbit movies. It's just all modern blockbusters. They end up doing a lot of reshoots at the end to fill in gaps. Sometimes they're really simple. Sometimes it's like the director says, "Oh, I need someone running down a hallway that I didn't film," and they call people back and they do 2 scenes and they say thank you, goodbye. But other times they're called back for very serious, kind of some movies like the Justice League, they refilmed a quarter of the movie. But I'm sure that in an original cut that ended up in the trailer, that was a line. But then as the director was putting the movie together, she decided, it would be better if we did this.
I understand that it may be there, but they still had to do the special effects for the trailer. And if there will be a spoiler for Avengers now. If the Hulk is never going to appear in the movie after the first 5 minutes, and he's running with the heroes towards the end of the movie, someone had to decide, hey, look, let's throw a curveball. Right. Let's put the Hulk in there, even though he's never going to be in that part of the movie.
Right. It was a misdirect, a purposeful misdirect.
In Endgame, they're going to rewind, and all of a sudden the Hulk is showing up.
Yeah, that would be funny. Don't know.
But
so we already touched on how Ben Mendelsohn did a great job. Really, I think these Marvel movies in general...
And so was he a twist for you?
He was a twist for me, and I loved it. I loved it. I love it when they do that. I love it when I don't anticipate where the movie's going, and it goes somewhere else. And it makes total sense. Within the framework of the story, it wasn't like, they just threw in a twist because someone said they needed a twist. It was like, no, everything makes sense now. That everything we had seen still made sense. Now that, up is down and down is up, we can still now interpret everything that has happened, and it makes sense. So I really loved that.
So just to be clear, after we saw the movie, we were with our friend, we walked around for a little while, and then we all did actually, think that maybe this was a viable idea to just go right back to the theater, buy 3 more tickets, and just see it again. It
was a really good movie, and all of these Marvel movies, I think they really hit it out of the park with casting. I know that there's been kind of an alt-right boycott of Brie Larson because they're just all stupid. But she did a wonderful job. I think she really, she was Carol Danvers.
One of the other things that I like is in a lot of the scenes, she just looks human and she's not larger than life.
Right.
She's just this small figure walking amongst other people that are a lot larger than her. And they don't try and make her taller or thinner or they don't try and make her into something that she's not.
Right. And I've seen some people talking online and I understand why they're saying this. They say that one of the things that they responded to in Brie Larson is that compared to kind of the standard Marvel hero, Brie Larson has a different energy than others. Just the way she was telling jokes, her physical mannerisms, the way she was reacting to the characters. And I agree, you know, she doesn't... There is kind of sarcastic... I don't want to say sameness, because they're all written uniquely, but there is kind of a standard operating procedure for these Marvel movies where everyone snarks at each other in a certain way and they all have a certain shorthand with each other, and she's different.
Well, there was a stiffness.
Yeah.
And there was also thinking about, it's the old scene from Indiana Jones where the guy pulls out the
whip.
The whip, and he just takes the gun out and shoots. Because, I mean, if you have the resources...
Why not?
Then use the resources.
Right.
Don't ignore them. And she's told by the Kree to ignore her emotions because those emotions might trigger the memories, and they don't want her going back to those memories.
Yeah, and all the supporting... You know, I also... we mentioned at the beginning, which I should mention again. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is always excellent, but in a sense, this is a buddy movie between Carol Danvers and Nick Fury. They do a lot of traveling together and everything, and I think that they have a great dynamic with each other. And they're both kind of feeling each other out, both getting to know each other, both trying to figure out, are you on my side? Are you not on my side? Can I trust you? Can I not? And I think they handle that very well. So I think that gives a little bit of both humor and edge to the movie.
I like how in the stairwell they figure out that Coulson's not one of the shapeshifters because of the fact that he lets them go and, I don't know where they are.
Right.
Didn't see them.
Yeah, and you know, Clark Gregg always does a great job. Annette Bening, I thought, was really, really good. I mean, you know, she was playing multiple characters. She was playing I think she's listed as playing the Supreme Intelligence and Dr. Wendy Lawson, but, you know, spoiler in 2, 1, she's also Mar-Vell. So that was a great gender bend, because in the comics, Mar-Vell was a male Kree, whom Carol Danvers falls in love with, and he dies, she gets blasted with energy, she becomes super being, and then she takes on the name Mar-Vell because she just loved him so much.
Into the Spider-Verse spoiler ahead. Yeah, I like the fact that in Into the Spider-Verse you have what we've normally seen Doc Ock as male, female.
Right.
And beautifully done. Okay, and back to Captain Marvel.
Yeah, you know, Jude Law. I like Jude Law. I find him a very sympathetic actor. I enjoy his portrayal of things. I thought his portrayal of Jan Rog was a little on the nose. I mean, it was sort of like...
It didn't need to be anything but on the nose.
Yeah,
it's fine.
You know, it was fine. Yeah. I would agree with you. It was fine. I thought Lashana Lynch, as her best friend, Maria Rambeau, she was great. And you'd already mentioned the relationship between Carol Danvers and Rambeau, and I think that was the emotional center of the movie. And I think it really worked. And I think the two of them had just a great rapport with each other. You know, there's this thing called the Bechdel test, which a movie passes the Bechdel test if there's a female and female conversation that does not involve a man. You know, a movie does not pass if all women ever talk about as men, and this movie absolutely passes the test. And I thought that those two really did a great job of showing just two women who were friends that had nothing to do with the men in their lives. And it was just, they had a relationship with each other.
There doesn't have to be a story behind it.
Right.
You don't know where Monica's dad is.
Never mentioned once, yeah.
And you don't need to.
Right. He's not part of the story. And the girl who played her daughter...
Maybe it was and I missed it? I don't know.
I don't think so. The girl who played the daughter, Akira Akbar, played Monica Rambeau. She was just a little scene stealer. I just really enjoyed her a lot. And of course, in the comics, her daughter goes on, I think, to be Ms. Marvel and Captain Marvel and all this in the future. But... you know, all the supporting actors I thought were really good. I did have like two little pet peeves. One was there was a great scene in the movie. One of sort of the, she learns her power and everything. She has this little sort of power suppressor that the Krees put in her neck so that they can, turn her off.
Okay.
When they aren't happy with, her. And the Krees have captured her, and they've got her kneeling down and trapped in kind of the pad of the Supreme Intelligence. And so all these tentacles come out.
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Yeah.
You want to know why they just stood there while she was firing up and didn't stop her?
Yeah. I mean, it's like they're standing there. She's like, oh my God, she's trying to break out.
So here's in the theater, that's what I thought. And I thought, well, you know what, though? The Supreme Intelligence has its tentacles in her. And if they shoot her, they might actually be shooting the Supreme Intelligence.
Maybe. I wonder, even on another angle, why did they even do that? Why was she even in the Supreme Intelligence? Why didn't they just say, okay,
they needed to find out what she knew.
Oh, where's the Tesseract or whatever? That could be. And my other pet peeve, and I already mentioned this in our podcast when we talked about Aquaman, that I really love it when they go full superhero. And to me, that includes the naming. Now, it was actually a important moment in Ms. Marvel at the time, Ms. Marvel's origin story, her coming of age, when Carol Danvers takes the name and she calls herself, I am Ms. Marvel. I'm taking the name of Marvel because I loved Marvel. And they never call her Captain Marvel. She never calls herself Captain Marvel. She does in the comics.
And I was waiting because she says, is it Lieutenant Trouble? She calls Monica.
Right.
Lieutenant Trouble. And I was expecting Monica to say, well, if I'm Lieutenant Trouble, then you're Captain Marvel.
Right. Something like that.
But there wasn't any.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Patty Jenkins saying that they actually filmed Chris Pine calling Diana Wonder Woman. But in the end, they cut it for whatever reason. And it's too bad. I mean, I like it when that happens. Obviously, in the grand scheme of complaints about a movie, this is as minor can get, and I'm not bashing the movie. I'm just saying it's one of those little things I would have wanted to see. So I've really also, we already talked about how the de-aging was a lot better than some of the negative reviews led on. I thought the CGI as a whole was great. I thought the sort of the way that her energy danced on her hands looked fantastic. I thought the spaceships and all of the CGI was great. I thought the makeup work on the Kree and the Skrulls were great. I mean, Marvel movies are at just the highest level of visual effects. I think this is another just real winner for them.
So the cat was already going to be an issue in filming because of the fact that Brie Larson was allergic.
Right.
But the fact that they're going to have to make a CG cat, which made sense because I haven't seen a flirting cat before. But I do have to say this, because we like our little statues too. And if I get the name wrong, I'm sorry. But there's a company, Kotobukiya, that makes the figures. And what they need to do is make a cat where the head comes off and then you replace it with the head that's the tentacles, because that would just be awesome.
So in a number of San Diego Comic-Cons, I've always bought the exclusives from this company, whose name I am not even going to attempt to pronounce.
Kotobukiya.
Kotobukiya?
Kotobukiya.
Kotobukiya. So if they have...
Kotobukiya.
If they have...
I just don't know where the accent is.
Yeah. If they have a Flurkin exclusive, I'm getting it. But that's actually from the comics. A lot of Captain Marvel that we see on screen was from the Kelly Sue DeConnick reboot of Captain Marvel, and hers were amazing.
But if you need a place to hide the Tesseract, that is the perfect place.
And in that comic, it was really funny because she brought in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and so there's an issue where Rocket, when he gets into her spaceship, is like, "Oh my God, kill it! It's a Flurkin!" And she's like, "It's my cat! What the hell are you talking about?"
Instead of Rocket doing it. That's basically what Talos.
Right, Talos does the same thing. And she's like, no, it's my cat. Everything's fine. What are you talking about? And, of course, later you find out it's the tentacle-headed alien.
But it's helping them. And it's cute.
It's on their side.
And when they're trying to escape, the two Kree warriors.
Right.
And he's like, come on, get him. And he throws the cat. And the cat goes up to one of the Kree security guys and just starts, like, nudging its leg.
Yeah.
Which is basically this big flashing light to
Nick
Fury that, wait a minute, he's not one of the Kree.
Right, the Flurkin knows what's going on here. But, yeah.
Well, disguises don't... Flurkin gets them.
The Flurkin, whom Golden, you looked up and found in the comic, I'd forgotten this, its name was Chewie. Now in the movie it's named Goose.
Because apparently you need more Top Gun references rather than
absolutely.
Star Wars, which I find surprising in a Marvel movie when Marvel is now owned by the mouse.
Right.
But,
I thought it was a real kick that they left the cat in. I mean, I don't know if you remember.
I am not going to do this spoiler, and I don't think Orren is either. But we will tell you real quick, just going back to Nick Fury for a moment, that you do find out how he loses the eye.
And I will also add, without giving you a spoiler, that if you had built it up in your mind that it's this great heroic moment, that's, I hate it when, well, hate is a strong word. I never need sort of just tangential things to be explained away to me sometimes, like in the movie Solo, where you see a guy just give him the last name Solo because it's right on the nose. I didn't need to see that. I was...
Oh, no, it was awesome.
I didn't need to know why his name was Solo.
No, I'm saying how Fury loses his eye is awesome.
If you like it, that's obviously what they were going for.
It was great.
Yeah, well, that's one we'll agree to disagree.
I don't think there was a better way, a more heroic way, a more... It was ironic.
It was ironic.
Very ironic. So I think it was perfect.
It was ironic, and not in a 90s Alanis Morissette way of saying ironic without it being ironic. Speaking of 90s music, they used a lot of songs from the 90s, which as somebody who was an alt-rocker, out there in the clubs myself playing music, I knew almost every single... No, I think I did know every single song they played. So I loved the music. I mean, it was all the music that I've loved forever, and that was another draw for me. I thought they picked a good selection of music. Although I will say that the industrial rocker in me was just a little bit offended when Carol Danvers shows up in a Nine Inch Nails T-shirt, which we all know is industrial, and Nick Fury says to her, "The grunge look." It's like, it's not grunge. It's not grunge.
He doesn't listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, probably not. Well, I think he does. He sings at the end, some like 50s music.
And I do like how they explain the pager, the beeper, whatever you want to call it, how it had the technology back then for him. Because, one of the first things she does is just go up to a telephone booth and rearrange it so that she can make a intergalactic call.
That's right.
And it was sad to see that happen to Blockbuster, because I know there's only one remaining Blockbuster, I think, in the entire United States.
Alaska, yeah.
No, actually, I think it's in Oregon or Washington.
Oh, Oregon.
But that poor Blockbuster.
I know. I also, talking about the music, the music was by Pinar Toprak, who's done a bunch of television shows, and she's worked for a bunch of composers, and she is the first woman to ever compose a superhero movie soundtrack. And I thought she did a really good job, kind of the current state of the better superhero movie soundtracks, such as the Academy Award-winning Black Panther soundtrack by Ludwig Göransson, is that they take the traditional Hollywood brass and strings score that we're used to, but then they integrate with themes and things that you'd expect all kinds of world instruments and techno-electronic instruments and things that really give it a unique feel in the world of soundtracks out there, and really work for the scenes, for the movie, for the type of movie it is. And she did that. She really nailed it. This is the kind of soundtrack, like those others, I can really listen to. So I was really happy about the soundtrack. I'm really happy about the whole movie. I mean, I think this is a movie that if you have kids who want to see it, definitely go and you will enjoy it. If you're an adult, go and see it. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. And it was nice to, even though it wasn't extensive and it didn't have to be done spectacularly, it was still nice to see a couple of like the characters that would then appear in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
So that you have these little tiny threads. And I'm curious if we will see Monica Rambeau again, since she, alluded to Carol Danvers, or Auntie Carol, that, hey, maybe next time I see you, I'll be flying a spaceship.
Yeah, you never know.
And
maybe she will be.
And she was just very accepting.
Yeah.
And very grateful just to, she never really wanted to believe that Auntie Carol was gone.
Right. And she was right.
And she was like, okay, cool, these are aliens? I want to meet the aliens?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was very good. I'm curious what we will see that we didn't notice the next time we see it.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing will probably end up being in the theater since we have the AMC
soon.
Pass thing.
Absolutely. And they, of course, there's always after credit scenes, and of course the one in this movie set up her appearance in Avengers Endgame.
Oh, it wasn't just, it was also Goose.
Right, but I mean I was referring to the first one where they set up Endgame. The one with Goose was just fun and funny. Yeah. I enjoyed the hell out of that one.
I think if you have or have experienced cat ownership before, you're going to get it even more.
Right.
It'll be much more pertinent.
Exactly. And since the internet loves cats, how can it not love Goose? So,
I think it should just stay Chewy. But
I agree. I don't know why they changed the name, but whatever, So it goes. Well, thank you, Golden.
You're welcome.
And that's it for this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/35. If you like this episode, please leave a review in the Apple Podcasts app or iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions for future panels or whatever, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.